The Orange Grove Bulldogs made a surprising run to the third round of the playoffs last season, but now they've kind of raised the bar for themselves in 2019. The Bulldogs have a new head coach in Wes Callahan, who was promoted from being an assistant last year. Orange Grove did lose a decent amount of starters from that team, but they're still expected to compete in 31-4A. The Bulldogs will even have a chance to redeem themselves against a Beeville team that bounced them in the region quarterfinal, something Coach Callahan says they're looking forward to.
Adding Beeville, who knocked us out of the playoffs last year, it's going to be a good, tough challenge for our team, especially when it comes to, the hunger and redemption is kind of what we're looking for.
I think we have a young team. They're good hustlers. They're looking forward to being coached, and they love the sport of baseball. And I think that we can do something with this talent that we have here.
Now, the Bulldogs will also face area powers Sinton and Robstown as part of that stacked District 31-4A.